Welcome to the Town Square Podcast, where we make it our mission to live in the messy middle. And today we've got Travis Moore, the city councilman for City of Covington, the East Ward Post 2.
That's right. Yes, sir. Yeah.
All right, because we just worked that out a minute ago, and I was trying my best to get all that.
Yeah.
It's a lot of words, but we got it.
Yep. That's right.
You've been in the seat now for
2 years now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we've got 2 years left. So Jared and I, we were elected at the same time,
right.
2 years ago in the East Ward.
Okay. Well, how do you? How's it been so far? 2.5 years.
It's been good. I love working with the people. I love being out there in the trenches. As you will. Helping people out. If they've got, hey, I've got this issue. Can you come take a look? Right. So I really enjoy that, and being out with the folks, which I've always done that. For even back before the election, I was always at the events.
That's right.
Concerts and the movies and things like this. So everyone saw me out, and they still continue to see that. I haven't changed that behavior at all.
That's right. Yeah, you seem to enjoy it. As a matter of fact,
I do. I love just being out there with the folks. I think they need to see us.
Yeah, absolutely.
They enjoy that.
Yeah. Well, so the reason we got you in here, a couple things. First, I just wanted to, if I can give you a commendation, if I can say thank you, man, because you have the way in which you take the meetings that you guys have, the votes that you guys have, and you kind of put it out there on social media. I know that's not, barring having like this huge communications departments and big budgets and all that. They do their work, right? But we don't have that kind of luxury. So you just kind of, from a councilman perspective, say, here's what we talked about. Here's kind of the bullet points. Mm-hmm. For us, man, the citizens, we love that stuff because it's like I can see exactly what happened.
Right.
Maybe I didn't make the 2.5 hour meeting or whatever, but I can at least get caught up. And so we appreciate you doing that. Because that's the first thing, that good communication. And we've talked about it on the podcast with other guests, just like, man, that Travis is setting the tone. He's setting the bar up here now about how we should communicate as public servants.
Right.
But I think the part I really enjoy is when people get to having comments on Facebook. And this is going to get to why you're here today. But people make comments, and sometimes, we all do. But there's a few people who can be uninformed. Maybe they just don't have the information, so they're just feeling something and they're putting it out there. And just in a real diplomatic way, you're able to go, well, all right, here's kind of more of the backstory sometimes.
Yes,
and I think that is so helpful to hear, like, how you guys made the decision. We don't always get that, and so I'm glad when you do put those little paragraphs out there and says, here's how we were thinking.
Yep. Right.
So.
Okay. So,
two big topics have kind of popped up recently that the city council had to deal with. And the first and maybe the hottest of all of them has been this Cinelease three ring studios property,
right?
That the city just purchased. And so, if you'll just, for those who might have missed the Covington News article, if you just kind of give us what did y'all decide to do, and then we'll maybe get into some of the details of that. So,
this episode of the Town Square Podcast is brought to you by our friends at Rapid Tax Services in Covington.
For more than 20 years, I've trusted Casey Duran, the owner of Rapid Tax Services, to handle my income taxes. Now, I'll tell you, Casey has the kind of people skills you don't always find in a numbers guy. He's honest, he's got integrity, and he and his team make tax prep fast, affordable, and stress-free. As we like to say in the South, Casey is just good people.
Yeah, so Rapid Tax Services has been voted best in Rockdale and Newton several years in a row, and it's easy to see why. Trey, they're conveniently located right on the square in Covington, and their interactive website is loaded with worksheets, checklists, helpful documents, you name it, to make your tax prep even easier.
Right. Who has time to worry about ever-changing tax laws?
I know I don't.
I trust Casey and his team to get the job done and to get me the maximum refund possible.
Absolutely. So this year, don't go it alone. Call Casey and the team at Rapid Tax Services at 678-658-8601. Catch that? I'll say it again, 678-658-8601, or visit them online at taxpreprts.com.
So there was a need to consolidate all of the utilities. We're talking like gas, electric, materials, equipment, because they are they're kind of scattered. You've got
Mhm.
some materials over here. We're renting a warehouse, I think, off of Cook Road, that has our gas meters in there
Okay.
because we just don't have the room, to store them,
Right.
on city property. And so the need was, hey, we need to consolidate all of this, get all the equipment, the
Mhm.
trucks, the departments, get the materials, just get them at one location. And so then staff approached us, and so then we started. We put it out there what we were looking for,
Mhm.
and there were several proposals, and this particular one was the best one,
Mhm.
because it gave us more acreage. It's like right at 20 acres is
Okay.
what we're acquiring. And then plus 2 buildings that are roughly 36,000 square feet each.
Okay, that's a lot of space.
And that's a lot of space. And so the other proposals, we weren't getting that much. And they were all about the same price. So we're actually getting more for, the same amount of money.
Okay. So you got currently then you have all your utility departments are spread out. Or some of them are, you're saying, and then some of the like trucks are in one place, maybe some materials in another place.
Like our poles, electrical poles,
Uh-huh.
things like that are in a different location. And so now, with this, we can bring all of that over into one on one parcel.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
And for folks who don't know where this property is, it's if you go out past town, Covington Town Center now. So go past the Publix on, is that Hazelbrand? I used to call it Loop 81, but
yes,
142.
Right. 142.
142. And then before you get to Maryvale and the Church at Covington, you get that little parcel to the left is the Cinelease. Three Ring Studios.
And it's almost kind of across from Orchard Park. That subdivision.
Right.
Yeah, it's in that area.
Okay. So now Cinelease came in, they built out a lot of that, but so some of this 20 acres I'm assuming is not built out?
No, a lot of it was kind of like back lots, parking, things of that nature, if they were doing anything outside. And so that's what a lot of this is.
Okay. So probably tons of parking.
Yes, you'll have a lot of parking, and then with those buildings, there's a lot of square foot, that you could, either have offices or, have things, covered and not uncovered. And then we have plenty of room for all our materials, transformers and, the poles and things like that.
And so then that would cut out having to rent a space that you're renting on Cook Road.
That's right. So you can eliminate that because that's a cost each month. So you eliminate that. And then of course I've got some other things, you can, to save on time, so your crews aren't having to go from, here and travel and pick up all the materials. It'll all be right there together.
One place.
Right.
Will their offices kind of be there too, or are they?
Yes.
Okay.
So everybody will move over there.
Man, that sounds great.
Yeah.
Well, all right. So, in this whole process, though, it was a request for a proposal, right? So you guys had an idea that you wanted to consolidate all this.
Yes.
And so then you put this out for proposals. Is that how it works?
That's right. And there was several sites that were kind of looked at, but there just wasn't, the most desired area.
Right.
Or not area, but it just wasn't suitable or as suitable.
Right.
And then this came up, this one here. And like I said, we're getting way more for about the same amount of money.
Okay. And it was a $15 million, if I remember. Somewhere in there, 15, 16 million?
Yeah, 15.5, I think.
Okay. All right. So then people start asking about, and this is the reason, again, thank you so much for adjusting your schedule and coming in here so fast, because I was just, wanted to give you more than a paragraph in a Facebook post to respond to some of this.
Right.
But, so people immediately then start saying, wait a minute, to get these buildings in here, or these companies to come in, we must incentivize them somehow, whether it's tax rebates. Well, I don't know exactly the situation, but there's some sort of incentive for them to come in. And then when we turn around and buy the land back from them, does that, how does that kind of situation work? Some people feel like, are we kind of bailing them out or whatever, that kind of deal. But that's not really the situation as you see it, is it?
No, I mean that's the Industrial Development Authority were the ones who kind of brokered that deal, and so that's kind of separate from this.
Right.
And so I'll be honest with you, I'm not sure, what if their incentives were, what they were, or how much, So that would be a good question for them from the IDA.
All right, Sarah Hall, if you're listening,
you're up.
I know we have been trying to coordinate, and she does want to get in here and talk about, because I've asked her I think it really would help our community is what I think I'm getting at. If we could educate our community on what the tax incentives, the purpose of them, the benefit that that the community gets from it. It's not just, well, I think it's never money given away. It may be some incentives, which means if they pay less tax for a certain period of time or whatever, that it might feel like, well, then the community has to give in more tax money, but that's not always the case. But even if it were, similar to that, the benefit, of those industries coming in is the reason for the incentives, right? So anyway, I know you can't, you've given all you can give on that, but we definitely want to get Industrial Development Authority in here again to help educate on maybe what some of those incentives do.
Yeah, and that would be good for the public to hear from their side, because they're, like I said, they're, she's brilliant at what she does, and so she would be great at coming in here, kind of explaining, the process, the why, and then what we're gaining from that, and that would be good for the general public to know and understand, because a lot of folks just don't know, they don't understand, and so I think that would help.
Yeah, and that doesn't, and so I guess to kind of further go down that line, that doesn't really then impact the council's decision. You guys were looking at what is the best opportunity that actually saves the taxpayers money, right?
Yes, in this particular situation, right?
Yeah. So I think that's where we probably do need to kind of separate those two,
and they are separate. Yes,
yeah, separate those two thoughts even in our head, to go, even if we do incentivize something to come in, if that thing doesn't work out, or if they want to give up part of their land and it works for the city and it makes more sense for the citizens, and it helps with the continuity of services and, the things that the city citizens want, then that's still the right decision. It doesn't mean that, maybe the optics don't always look the best, but you can't, it is what it is, right? You want what's best for the community. So I know you guys are thinking that when you make those decisions. Anyway, and this is one of the things you were trying to clarify. So if you can help us here too, this wasn't purchased with taxpayer funds, right? Like it wasn't like...
No.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. And so, when the Covington News came out with the article, I started reading the comments, and it was steadily going downhill fast, because that was the first thing that immediately came to people's minds. Oh, well, why are we using tax dollars, for this purchase? And I could see the tar being heated up, if you will,
Not
getting
on
ready to tar and feather us. And so I said, somebody needs to jump in here and kind of cool the temperature down and explain.
Yeah.
And so I just kept it really short. I didn't get into the weeds of the trust that this money actually came from. And it actually worked, because there was a lot of people that it came back and said, okay, well, I understand. I get it now. Now, there's still some other comments, that regarding the incentives, things like this, which, we've covered that. And so I think that helped on where the money come from. And so I can kind of briefly go over that if you wanted me to.
If you could just explain, what is that MEAG or MCT, MEAG, or is it the same thing? I can't remember.
Well, MEAG is our wholesaler that we purchased the electric from.
Right. All right.
And the trust is...
that has something...
the trust is Municipal Competitive Trust.
There you go.
So MEAG, every year they create their budget. So they look at what their costs are, debt service, things like that. And then they set their rates to us, the participants, each city.
Right.
And not all, it's only cities that provide, utilities. And so then at the end of the year, what they will do is kind of do a reconcile, like a true up.
Okay.
So they will see what their actual costs were, what they charged. And if there's a difference, and historically with the city, we've actually received money back.
Okay.
So they true everything up, and they do that with each city. And so what we've done with that money, and and still today, is put it in that trust. And so it's like almost like a savings account, an emergency fund, if you will. And so, and that's for any kind of, emergency situations that come up. Any of our debt service that we're responsible for, as far as the new generation of power, whether it's Plant Vogtle, things like that.
So centered around utilities, though.
Right.
Okay.
That's right. And so here we were able to use that, a part of that. There's still, money in there. So we were able to use part of that, for this. So it's not like this was kind of baked into the current budget, or we had to raise rates in order to fund this. So that's not the case, and I think that's where people just didn't understand that.
Yeah.
And then when I hopped in there and started explaining, they're like, okay, we get it.
And that kind of clarity is so important, right? Because it's not like, hey, we bought this property and now your rates went up. Right?
Yes.
Or that we're taking it out of the budget, out of some other line. No, these are funds that you could only use for specific utility projects, right? Either helping with utilities or debt service related to utilities, or this kind of project.
I mean, it's the way I understand it. You can use it, I guess, for any kind of project.
Mm-hmm.
But here we saw that, staff saw that this was needed. We needed this. We needed to get everybody consolidated, get everybody in one spot, and just kind of make things more efficient.
Yeah. Sometimes in those, you get those situations like that with the big power, like MEAG. So for people who are listening, not sure how we get our electricity, you got usually Georgia Power, your EMCs. So locally, it's probably Snap and Shoals in this area. So you get Georgia Power, Snap and Shoals, and then you get MEAG, right? So the MEAG provides service to cities, municipalities, and I think the others cover most of the other area.
Yeah, so MEAG is our wholesaler. So that's, since we provide gas, electric, and other services, we buy the wholesale from them, and then like I said, they set their budget every year, and then they'll reconcile at the end of the year. And historically, we've always got money back.
Yeah, so that's great,
which is good.
Yeah, absolutely. But you separating those kind of funds though too is important. So this might help some people, like the eSplost. So you guys participate in SPLOST, but we have eSPLOST for the Board of Education.
Right.
And the educational, that 1 penny sales tax, now we can't use that for, our normal operating budget, can't use it for payroll. We have to use it for those special projects.
Yes.
And so as we're building these stadiums at each of our high schools right now, like that's not budgeted. That money doesn't come out of our budget. It's not taxpayer dollars as far as their property taxes. It just comes from that 1 penny sales tax, that eSPLOST, which is that kind of earmarked money. So when people say, well, man, our property taxes keep going up because of these stadiums. It's like, well, no, because it's actually a whole different pot of funds.
That's right.
When people were going, man, are they going to raise our taxes now so that we buy this new piece of property? Like, no, it's actually coming from this MEAG MCT Trust or whatever.
Right. So, just leftover money.
Yeah. Good. Man, that's great. So see, that helps people understand, hopefully. Now, you've already kind of talked about operationally how this is going to help, can speed up some times on things. Guys are going to have all their stuff in one place. What is like the success measure? This will be our last on this topic, hopefully. Like, what's the success coming out of this project, or timeline even? Like, when do you see it being completed and ready to go?
The timeline. Let's see.
I know it's early in the process, so they might not even have it fully developed
process.
Yet.
So they were looking at April to May of next year.
Oh, okay, that's pretty quick.
Of having everything moved over, up and running, and complete. As far as being able to measure, is that what you're at? Like, how would you measure the success of this?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess one way you could measure, it's kind of tough to answer. I guess one way you could probably measure is, if there's an outage, so like a tree, hit a line, broke a pole, you should see a quicker turnaround,
right.
Crews getting there, getting that pole reset, things of that, because you'll have everything, in one spot and not have to go from here and travel, pick your materials up, pick the pole up, and then go to the site. And then too, you'll start seeing the cost. Some of the costs go away, like the cost of renting that warehouse on Cook Road.
Right.
That will be eliminated. So I guess that's a measurement as well, as where, that portion of that money is now is out.
Yeah.
So we're not having to pay that.
Yeah. I would, part of any city government, county government is the having your employees feel good about things. If you got your directors and stuff, I bet they're probably like, yeah, this is going to be the right thing right here. This is going to help us out. This is, that synergy from everybody being in the same place, and communication travels fast. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, communication would be big because you've got your all your utilities and departments are there. It'll be safer and more secure. It'll also help with inventory control because you're not having materials over here and over here, and over at this warehouse. It'll all be in one spot, and fencing and cameras and lighting, and so to be just it should be make things go much smoother and more efficient.
Yeah. Well, this time next year we'll talk to the directors and see what they think. They're probably going to be living a whole different world by then, man. All right. Well, let's talk about a different thing too. In as much or as little as you want to talk about this is fine, but I know there was this kind of kerfuffle about the cemetery and some of the ordinances there. Now, you guys passed a new cemetery ordinance. Maybe if you could just tell us exactly what that was first, and then I'll dig into some of the reasons why or something.
Well, I wasn't at the first reading.
Okay.
I was there for the second reading, and basically the ordinance says, no for-profit tours. I think it changed the hours now. It's like dusk till dawn.
Mm-hmm.
And then no filming, that sort of thing.
Okay.
And so that's what this new ordinance is. And it did pass. We had the final reading our last meeting, and so that was a 5-1 motion to approve.
And you were the one, right?
I was the one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we'll get to why in a minute. But so the reason that this ordinance came about is there's a video or something that kind of started to circulate on the internet, and I don't know if it, I hadn't seen all of it, but it just kind of showed maybe some people in the cemetery, and I don't know if they were doing things they shouldn't be doing, or I know some pictures surfaced that were like ancient pictures of somebody setting something on a gravestone or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But this kind of video started circulating, and then it got really just, I don't know, local viral. Is that a thing? It wasn't worldwide or anything.
No, but it was
locally. It really like stirred up a lot of conversation about what's appropriate and inappropriate in these places. And I don't know, like what did you see from the video, and how's it?
This episode is brought to you by Main Street Land and Properties. Main Street Land and Properties is your trusted partner for all real estate needs, specializing in commercial and residential property management, brokerage services, real estate development, and construction management. As both a real estate developer and broker, Main Street provides expert guidance in commercial real estate sales while fostering growth within our community. Their comprehensive approach ensures a seamless experience whether you're buying, selling, investing, or managing property. Main Street Land and Properties is more than a real estate company. They are a one-stop destination dedicated to building stronger communities and lasting partnerships. Stop by and see them at 2141 Emory Street Northwest in Covington. That's 2141 Emory Street Northwest in Covington, or visit them on the web, mslap.com. That's mslap.com. Huge thanks to the good people over at Main Street Land and Properties for sponsoring this episode.
Well, I mean, it was a short video, and and all you saw, during that was was the tour, coming down the street.
Mm-hmm.
Now at one point when they kind of crossed over in there, the group was kind of standing to the side.
Mm-hmm.
As the guide was talking to them from what I saw in the video, and I think that was about it. It was not, like I said, it was a short video. Now, for me, I've actually been on this tour before.
Mm-hmm. Me too. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was done respectfully.
Mm-hmm.
The guide, said, hey, stay on the streets.
Mm-hmm.
No one was sitting on headstones or taking pictures, or there was nothing inappropriate.
Mm-hmm.
And then, let me back up too. They have been doing these tours for many, many years.
Yeah.
I mean, you can go back to the last council administration, and it's been widely known.
Mm-hmm.
That the tours, part of the one of their legs of the tour is in there,
right?
And it's a short part of it, and for me, it was more history for me, what I learned in there. It wasn't so much centered around ghost hunting or tour or whatever.
Yeah.
There was a lot of history, because we've got a lot of history in our in our cemetery. And so that when that went out, it just, the rhetoric just really, some of the comments started getting really negative. And a lot of and some of them were kind of borderline. I wouldn't say, just a lot of negative, nasty comments, toward that business owner and what they were doing. And look, let's be real. I mean, they weren't doing anything that they haven't been doing. I mean, this is, or there was no ordinance, there's no law. They've been doing this, so I mean, it wasn't like that they were breaking in, any kind of law or ordinance. And it's just unfortunate that that when you see those kind of comments, and then that also led to the following weekend. The rhetoric, was so inflamed. She had to hire personal security Friday
the
and
business
Saturday.
owner? Oh my goodness!
For the tours.
Oh.
And of course, they didn't. The following weekend, that portion of the tour was kind of eliminated. But yeah, so she hired security.
Wow.
Friday and Saturday, and that's just, I really hate that. It's unfortunate for a local small business owner.
Yeah, I agree.
To have to do that.
Even if you don't agree with what the local small, I mean, there's tons of local small businesses we may not all love how they operate or whatever, but I mean, they're still our neighbors and their friends and people that we want to, do business with. Well, I have been on, so I go to Savannah every summer for a conference, and, they're big on historic, and they have the tours. They have a lot of ghost tour things in Savannah. Any city that has that kind of history, and of course, even Covington has that kind of history, because we've got, landmarks that weren't burnt down during the Civil War. So we have these older places. And so you're always going to have these type, ghost tour type things. And whether you believe in it or not, it's not the point. It's just it's a tour. It's a tourism thing that helps our community out. And the one in Savannah, I thought was always, done the same way. I've been on the one in Covington as well. You got your little thing, ghost app thing, and you're having fun. But the guides almost always are giving you historic facts, right? They might tell you some stories along the way too. That maybe they are, maybe they're not. I don't know. But, but there's some good stories. Yeah, it's entertaining, right? It's entertainment, and there's some edutainment. That's what it is. Edutainment.
I like that. Yeah.
So they give you a little some history and stuff. But I always felt that was the cool part, and that intrigued me actually about the city. Right? I loved Savannah because I could learn these things about the city. Yeah. How the pirates used to run rum and stuff up under the city and through these tunnels. And the same thing with Covington, to be able to hear some of those historic buildings that you walk past, and also to hear some of the stories about the cemetery, just endears me to the city itself. But, I know people have different thoughts and stuff on it, but for us at the Town Square podcast, this is like a really messy middle issue. So I'll just say this: when you're trying to balance historic preservation, reverence for the deceased, and tourism, do you feel like the ordinance got there for that, or did we leave something on the table?
I don't, when I went into the final decision, I read. I was there. It was kind of mixed. So, when the Company News put out, the first reading, I was seeing some split. I was seeing a lot of people in support. And let me just say, as a seventh generation, Covington resident, I've got a lot of family that's buried in there. In being that I have been on this tour, I saw how respectfully. How the tour went, or how it was, if you will. I didn't see any issues, and so I started looking at. Now, that's not to say that there probably hasn't been some random issues, here and there throughout the years. But name any city cemetery where you haven't had a few issues, over the years. I just know with what I witnessed, I just didn't feel like it was fair, because it almost felt like the rhetoric and the issues were being blamed on these tours, and it's really the ghost tour that runs out of a Wild Art. I just didn't feel like that was fair,
right?
And then if you started looking at the comments and people talking about it, you had a lot that thought it was shouldn't take place, and then you had probably just as many that hey, I've got family buried in there as well. As long as they're not vandalizing headstones or being disruptive, leaving trash behind, I really don't see an issue with it. And so, I was looking at all of that. Now, even with this ordinance, when you say, no for-profit activities in there, we're still going to see thousands of visitors go through our cemetery. I mean, you think about every year, especially during the summer, I mean, I've seen several groups throughout the day, whether it's 10, 15, 20, they travel as a group going through our cemetery. And so that's still going to take place.
Right.
So, and the tours were only a Friday and a Saturday, and it could range from, I think the group I was on, like maybe 10 of us. And so when I'm looking at the whole picture, I'm like, well, you still got thousands of people still going through, and they're going to be taking pictures and things of that nature. And so that was kind of my thought process going into this. And why I voted, kind of the way I did.
In a sense, then you're saying, I mean, the ordinance really it just targets that one business, it seems like. I mean, I don't know if you can say that, but from me looking at it, it looks like.
And a lot of people have said that, even after the final, reading, a lot of people were saying that. And they were, and a lot of people have pointed out too. So, so we're not allowing the tours to go through, but you're still going to have all these visitors, still coming through our cemetery.
Right.
So the foot traffic is still going to be there.
Yeah. And you're not going to ban them, right? You can't ban people from going into the cemetery.
No. Yeah. And so, and there was a lot of people that were kind of, hey, this seems kind of one-sided, or hey, this kind of seems like, maybe we're targeting, this particular small business. And so there were a lot of that, a lot of that.
Well, you have always been business friendly. I mean, you just are, and I've always appreciated that. And you even do you still do your Travis around town or whatever?
I do.
Catch a few local businesses and snap some photos.
I still have that to where I'll go and visit, and I'm going outside of the city,
Okay.
So well, I say outside of the little downtown area,
right,
because we've got other little small businesses in other areas, and still in the city limits.
Yeah. So
I'll still do that. But I'm a huge advocate for the small business owner.
Right.
And being on the DDA, that's our mission, is to, of course, our geographical area is, the downtown, but that's our mission, man. Is just
the DDA. Downtown Development Authority.
There we go.
I want to make sure everybody knows.
Is to get behind these businesses and push, help them.
Yeah. What can we do? Can we do more for small businesses? I mean, they're really the lifeblood of your community,
Honestly, right now, the biggest thing, we are a destination city. And that all goes back to tourism.
Right. People still come to visit.
Coming to visit, and being friendly, being inviting, welcoming. And when you go back to, some of this, cemetery stuff, some of the rhetoric, was talking about the vampire, visitors, blood
specifically,
bags, specifically. Well, to those visitors, what they're hearing is, I'm not welcomed, or, hey, they're kind of, Covington's unfriendly.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
that's kind of the perception, the way it's perceived. And I truly hate that, because when you sit in the merchant meetings, all of these locally owned businesses they just say, look, majority of our business is from visitor spending. And if it were not for that, we wouldn't be in business. So that's your soapbox, your, City Pharmacy, Bar Oscar. I love those restaurants.
Yeah. Yeah.
They wouldn't be there.
Wow.
And us locals,
we appreciate them too.
Yeah. We appreciate those restaurants, because I love eating there.
Yeah. Man. Well, I know when I grew up, we did not have a bustling square, and everything shut down at 5:00 and everybody was gone. And it is just a different world now. And I would rather have this than no businesses on the square. Right. Yeah. Right. So,
because we got a lot of shopping. And we've got, a lot of great restaurants.
Yeah.
We got a lot of retail, that's not not specific to any show.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, got anything coming? Anything coming down the pipe?
Well, actually, when I leave here, I'm meeting with Isofunnel. They are looking at the plain nuts section. Yeah. Beside where it burned.
Where the fire,
where the fire was. So meeting them at 10:30, me and a few others on the DDA.
Nice.
So we're going to meet the owner there, let them, look at the space, see if it's a fit. and hopefully it is. So that, that's coming in. Of course, obviously we know, Target, is headed our way.
Now, how about speaking of sandwiches? Don't we have a new sandwich shop?
Yeah, we've got Billy's Bites and Brews.
Billy's Bites and Brews,
and that is it's the same folks that own Social Goat.
Okay.
And it's where the old axe throwing place was.
So right next door to Social Goat.
Right next door,
awesome.
And very good sandwiches.
Okay, I haven't been there yet.
Oh, you got to go. Yeah, it's great.
Bites and Brews. So they have like tap.
Yes. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah,
okay.
Tap, and some of it's batched.
Yeah. Cool.
But the sound, a sandwich shop was needed. Especially when Play Nuts, closed.
Right.
There was that void, and so this fills it, and the food is really good.
Okay, got to try it. Billy's Bites and Brews.
Billy's Bites and Brews. Yeah.
Now, what about the brewery's coming too, right?
They started working on that yesterday. So I was inside the old Ramsey. So I was in there, looking at it, and there was some things that there was some equipment for the lifts and all, so they're getting all that removed.
Okay.
They were yesterday. And then there's a new owner for the other side of the Ramsey Building.
Okay.
So if you're looking
the
at
one that faces the Presbyterian Church.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
okay.
yeah.
So the front part.
Yeah. So the front part,
Cool.
And because it's two different sections, and so I think what they were thinking is like maybe a food hall.
Oh, okay.
Kind of like Ponce.
Yeah.
Which I think is pretty cool, and I hope they continue with that
concept.
That concept, because that would be really nice. You walk in and you some retail and different food set up in there, and then I think that would pair well with next door, the little microbrewery.
Yeah, man, that's a lot of stuff happening downtown.
Yeah. So it's big things is popping down here.
Well, Travis Moore representing the DDA. All right, well, let's zoom out for just a little bit before we close out here and talk about, so outside of these two issues and certainly all of the infrastructure stuff y'all been working on, I mean, that's been news for a while, and trail ramps and everything else in town. Let's talk about just the way in which you see your role and the role of city government as it pertains to its citizens. You have been all about communicating, and that's why I wanted you to have this opportunity today to help communicate some of the truths and educate people on some of the other stuff. How important is this for the way you see your role and maybe just the role of transparency and communication from government to its citizens?
Oh, it's huge. I think the worst thing you can do is be silent. Especially if you've got a lot of things that are coming on the agenda, each time, and you're not talking about it. So for me, I feel like that's very important. And I'm not the only one that does that. There's other council members that share stuff and kind of explain. But and that's why I sit down after every council meeting and I'll just, here's what's on the agenda, and I don't do it for everything. I mean, if we approved a bucket truck for the electric department, that's not, anything exciting. It is for them. But things like if there's any kind of rezoning or new development, things of that nature, I would just put it out there. Here's what it was. Here's everything kind of behind it. Here's how it was voted on. And then for me, the most important part is to explain how I voted and why I voted.
Yeah, that's good.
And so that way they understand, and I did that a few days ago regarding the cemetery. I felt like it was important because when it was reported, it came out 5-1. Travis Moore was the lonely, and that was the way it was worded, was the lonely, no vote. And so I didn't want to leave that open. I wanted people to hear me, hear my thought process behind that. And when I do that on each of my votes, there are some, probably didn't agree. We'll have to agree to disagree.
Sure.
But I appreciate you explaining it to us.
Yeah.
And I got that on this cemetery thing. There were one or two that were like, hey, I really respect you and what you're doing. I don't agree 100% with it, but thanks for explaining it.
Yeah.
Thanks for explaining your vote.
Yeah.
And that's very important. And I think that builds that trust between, the city, elected officials, and the general public.
Yeah. And it goes a long way, right? It just goes a long way to say, look, here's what I was thinking. here, help me with this then. If I'm a citizen and I hear about these decisions, how can I do a better job? Like, what do I need to do to keep from just going, these guys are crazy. What are they thinking? What's going on here?
I mean, a lot of it is, if you can, attend meetings. They're taped, so you can, go back and kind of watch. And I know that's not easy for everybody.
Sure.
And that's why I sit down and kind of explain after each one how I do
the bullet points. Yeah.
And I don't just keep it kind of short. And so I think that helps. But yeah, I mean, if you can, just listen to the meetings or attend the meetings if you can. And like I said, a lot of people just can't. And so I think that's why it's important for us to kind of put the information out there.
Yeah,
whether it's on your campaign page, your personal page, get it out there, explain it,
right?
And people.
Yeah. So now, if people have questions prior to the vote, like how do they get in touch with you? I mean, you're all over the Facebook, but
yeah, I mean, I have people who message me constantly, whether it's text or phone call or call the message on my page. Hey, I've got a question about this. Can you explain this? And so I'm easily accessible, and I want to, and I keep it that way. That's intentional. I want to be accessible to where you can reach me anytime.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that. I know I was able to get you real quick and appreciate that.
Yeah.
So just as a parting shot here, what do you want to see for the city, man? What's kind of the vision? What do we need to do right now?
This episode is brought to you by Busy Bee Exterminators. Are you tired of bugs and mosquitoes? Then give Busy Bee a call. Busy Bee is locally owned and operated and takes great pride in hiring local technicians to service your home or your office. Personally, I've trusted Busy Bee to take care of unwanted pests for me the last 20 years here at Eastridge Church. Bug and mosquito season is right around the corner, so give Busy Bee a call today at 770-787-3718. That's 770-787-3718. Or you can get a quote online by going to busybeeexterminators.com. That's busy, B-I-Z-Z-Y, busybeeexterminators.com. A huge thanks to Busy Bee for sponsoring this episode.
Well, I still want tourism to thrive. We need to kind of, just keep pushing that. I'm excited about the new development coming, downtown. The DDA is working hard. I'd really want to see more of these empty available spots continue to be filled. And that's what the DDA has really been working hard. Doing is filling these spots. We've already filled 2, 3 this year because we've got a new event space coming up that we facilitated behind your pie.
Old Mayfield building.
The Lee Mayfield building. Yeah. So I had they were out of Walton County reach out to me and said, "Hey, we want to be in the downtown Covington area, and can you help me out?" And I said, "Sure." That's what the DDA, that's what we're here for.
Yeah.
And so we showed her several spots and landed on that one, and she hopes to be open in January.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So for me, that's what I want. I want to, some more entertainment. I want to get, all of these available spots, get them filled. Of course, we got all the infrastructure coming up, first a year on the square. Get all of that completed. So new wayfinding signage, landscaping.
Cool, man. Let's give some people a little bit of warning on that again. I won't say it again. There's squares going to be dug up a little bit in places here for a while we get the infrastructure done, but that's much needed if we're going to continue to have a bustling, thriving downtown.
Yeah, it's long overdue.
So that's coming in January, you said, first of the year?
It should be first of the year. They're doing some soft digs now, trying to locate some of the, utilities.
Right.
What do they look like by there? Yeah. Where are they going and coming from?
Okay. All right. Last thing. Yeah, I told you that was the last thing, but one more last thing because I'm about to be looking for something to do here next year. What's a void? You said some of these buildings are empty. You need some spot. What's a void in our community that whether it's entertainment, food, some need? What needs to go in one of these buildings?
Probably retail.
Retail.
Yeah,
a little more retail.
Retail. Some more retail.
Okay.
And we have. The misconception is that there's everything downtown is Vampire Diary related. Well, it's not. I mean, it's you've got like Roots, really good clothing store.
Yep.
They got men's, women's,
real nice stuff. Yeah.
Ridge Avenue, it's they got furniture. You know, I've bought furniture there recently from them. So they, you know, it's a really good furniture store.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of shops downtown, but yeah, you know, retail is, you know, is needed. You know, that's why, you know, landing Target kind of, you know, closes up some of that leakage to other counties.
Yeah.
But yeah, any kind of boutique, you know, downtown would work really well. And obviously food. I mean, we have 2.5 million visits to the downtown square every year.
That blows my mind.
That is a lot of foot traffic.
Yeah.
And people love to eat.
Yeah.
You know, you know, when I go, you know, traveling.
Heck yeah.
I love to eat.
Looking for the spot. And a food hall is a great idea.
That's an awesome idea. Yeah. You know, so hopefully that concept, you know, moves forward.
All right, man. Well, look, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for reaching back out and having me come in. And hopefully this wasn't clear as mud on the trust.
No,
where the
that's
money
good.
come from.
That's absolutely good. And we'll look it up and try to get more information we can. I'll put as many links as we can in the show notes too. So appreciate you, man.
Yep.
Thanks a lot.
Yep. Thank you.
All right. See you.
See you.